Hi guys, I'm Renz. This is Propeller On Air, the second episode of the hotly new and anticipated podcast by PropellerAds. And today we have two super affiliates again that we have the pleasure of being with us. And one of them is Servando Silva. Servando is a long-time established affiliate who initially started blogging back in 2006 and finally focused on affiliate marketing in 2011. But I mean, like many, he obviously started with SEO and ranking websites. But let's hear more about Servando. Hi, Servando. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks, Ren. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I got started in SEO quite a few years ago already. We still do SEO actually, which is very nice because it's a very stable income stream. But yeah, we started buying traffic 6-7 years ago, and since then we have been testing a lot of traffic sources and different ad formats depending on what our campaigns need. And it's been so far a very interesting experience for like 6 years, yeah, so far.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, is SEO ranking websites still one of your main focuses, Servando?
Yeah, we are doing kind of half and half. So we do SEO and we also put a lot of efforts in our media buys. But because SEO is very stable and at the end of the day, we know that many of the websites that we are buying traffic from, they get traffic from Google or from other potential organic sources. I mean, it's kind of interesting to own the whole source and get the traffic yourself and also monetize it. So that's why we focus on both.
Awesome. That sounds very, very interesting. Our second guest today, he's also very well known in the industry of affiliate marketing. Eric Gyepes is in the house, and Eric is a full-time affiliate marketer for more than 7 years, guys. Throughout these years, he's run, literally everything, right, Eric?
Yes, I think so.
How are you?
Hello, guys. I'm good, thank you. Hope you are having fun also.
Everything is perfect. I mean, it's a great pleasure to have you here. I mean, as I said, you run everything. I mean, this is kind of like really well known. So you run bots, you run native, you run adult, you run Facebook, and you mentioned that in the last 2 years, your main focus has been push traffic, right?
Yes, correct. That's true.
Which traffic sources are you mostly working with at the moment?
There are like a ton of push traffic sources at the moment. Of course, PropellerAds is one of them, and there are like, I don't know, Evada or Zero Park. It's going now slow in my head when I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, there are a lot of traffic sources, like all the main traditional push traffic sources. Also, I used to work a lot with Mega Push, but the quality is not so good there anymore. Lately.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, almost source you can think of, I run.
All right, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right, guys. I mean, today, as you know, we previously mentioned, we are talking about the summer, the hot affiliate summer, and how should affiliates, react to. I guess we have to mention, the coronavirus pandemic. Affecting almost everything in our lives, and of course, affiliate marketing as well. So, Servando, where do you think, what are the weakest points that affiliates should have to know about? I guess, in terms of what kind of offers should they avoid, perhaps, or what kind of offers should they focus into?
Yeah, all right. So yeah, because of the coronavirus, there are still a lot of countries that are closed down. The main one that I can think of is, of course, traveling, right? So traveling is still banned pretty much everywhere, so it's very difficult to. There's not a lot of people looking around trying to search for flights or hotels, anything related to traveling. That's going to be a hard time for, I guess, still a few months. I think I read something about Airbnb losing most of their business in just a few weeks, so that was crazy. And there's also a couple more that I can think of, but one of the the ones we're running and that we sometimes run with push traffic is dating. Dating has kind of changed a little bit because now, dating it's the main purpose is that you go out and you meet some people, right? And then you do some fun and I don't know, whatever. However, if you cannot go out, or you can go out, but it's not recommended, and you still need to wear a mask every day, so it's not that sexy anymore, I guess. Yeah, so I think it's gonna be slowly reopening, and people are still like, they probably are starving more than ever to do some dating, but it's gonna be complicated for at least a few months more. So I guess the summer it's not gonna be the best one for those two verticals that I can think of right now. Those are the main ones, perhaps.
That's great. What do you think, Eric? What about your opinion about this? What kind of verticals should affiliates generally, shy away from?
Like Servando already still the two main ones. So yes, I totally agree. Like traveling and dating. So out of dating, I think it will be like very hot after the COVID. It like it will skyrocket.
I mean,
what else?
Obviously, like people, we tend to kind of like aspire having this kind of one-on-one kind of relations or communication. So dating, of course, but what do you think about sports betting? I mean, we don't have any sports-related events. Everything's canceled. I mean, I do see some countries like Germany, I guess, trying to open up games and trying to start leagues. But is sports betting something that you're working on? And what do you think about this vertical?
Not really working on this vertical, but I think yes, it's for sure down from this stand of view, from this viewpoint.
That's great. I mean, we see. I mean, on over Propeller. I mean, we do see other verticals such as. I mean, I would say these are like all year round kind of verticals, right? Like sweepstakes. Finance is much more stronger right now when it comes to like crypto offers or loan offers. Yeah. Are these kind of offers you're working with?
A little bit. I little bit try some of the finance. It's not really my focus, but of course, like people are in need of money, especially now. Like many people lost the job, so of course it's going up. Also, what else? Like finance include like insurance and loans.
Right,
course.
For
so
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
One small note from me is that we do see an increase on home appliances and gardening. I think that people have stayed too long in their homes, that they're trying to like arrange everything, just trying to like upgrade their homes or maybe their gardens or whatever. So we do see a fluctuation increase when it comes to these kind of offers. So affiliates, anyone who's listening to us right now, make sure to collect all of these data, all of this information that we're sharing, because these are very vital. Because it's all about seasonality. It's not just about, I guess, COVID, which affected everything. But I mean, guys, within the summer, you guys do know best what kind of offers to work with and all that. So I need to ask you, each of you, like Servando, what kind of offers are you going to focus moving forward into the next couple of months? I mean, during the summertime.
Yeah, we have been focusing a lot on finance offers, actually, now that you mentioned. I spoke with some of the advertisers, actually, that are working here in Mexico, and payday loans are not that good because, there's obviously people are trying to get money, but it's more difficult to assess the quality of the person and the credit that they can give to them because of the pandemic. It's harder to get paid back, right? So They are being very cautious. But in other terms, like insurance or even like credits, it depends on the people, and obviously the country changed a lot. They are watching some really good results, and we are running some of those campaigns on lead gen mostly. There's also one vertical that we were running a lot, and this was during the stage that the coronavirus kind of started, which was pretty much the whole Q2 or second quarter, which was video on demand. Oh man, that grew like crazy. Like everybody was staying at home, so they wanted to watch Netflix or watch any movies online, series online. So video on demand was doing like really good, and we also had a website about that grew their traffic like 20 times more than it used to. And now it's still a little bit higher than usual, but only like I guess 50% more, whereas it used to be almost 20 times more higher than it used to be in this season. So I guess that's still gonna work for a little bit, even if the people can go out. They are being very cautious, and it's not recommended to go out unless you need to or for basic stuff. So I guess you still, like you said, there's time to kill inside our homes, and we are looking just everywhere to see what perhaps there's things that we never get to do because we supposedly didn't have time, and now that we do, it's time to do it.
What do you think, Eric? Do you think that video on demand will continue this, stable rise? And basically, it's one of those verticals that we saw quite a success across, all sources, across all platforms. Do you think this will continue, or because more and more countries are trying to opening up and people will have the chance to be out more, that there will be a decrease in demand on this?
So I think in general, like if you look at it generally, not only from the affiliate viewpoint, it will go up for sure. Like there are more new streaming platforms coming up, like lately the Disney Plus, and I think we will see more and more coming to this space, more companies. And regarding the COVID, I think it will little bit stabilize and maybe go down, like push back. But I think after like winter is coming again and people will be staying home during long winter days and will be watching movies all the time.
For sure. So I mean, it's all about seasons, right? It's all about seasonality in this industry. For sure. For sure.
Yes, and I wanted to note also on the gardening stuff, I actually have an affiliate friend who told me the other day, like, I'm going to grow my salad, so he had to leave me. So there is definitely something to that.
Yeah, there's definitely something behind that interest, So, yeah, so Phyllis, like, get your gardening offers ready, guys. What about geos though? What about countries that should we heavily target right now? Servando, what do you think? Where should we focus? Offers to run.
Well, I guess it really depends on the offers that you're running. It's always very kind of different depending on the regions and countries. Like in some regions, sweepstakes do really well, and then there's some other regions where cash on delivery does really well. So I guess that won't change as much because of the virus, but still, again, it's mainly because of the cultures that people have. So, for example, in the UK or the US, a lot of people can pay with credit cards, and it's clearly not possible for tier 3 geos whereas they prefer to do cash on delivery or something different. So in that aspect, I don't think we are going to see a huge difference, at least for this summer and perhaps the rest of the year. But definitely when you have a look at the offers that networks have for you, and if you do some market research, you will notice some trends in different years, and it's kind of like you really need to get into those if you want to be. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try new stuff, right? You should, but it's very difficult because the market kind of knows already what's working there. So
for sure, absolutely. But let's say, you said that you're running mostly finance offers. Where are you currently running your offers? Which geos are you targeting most?
Well, USA is one of the top ones. Pretty much any tier 1, like I would say the United States, Canada, Australia, the UK, they always have a kind of really good offers for insurance or similar stuff. And then you need to get very, like it's not that difficult to find some good offers also in other countries, in sometimes Europe or Latin America, maybe Asia, but they are not as hot. So they have just a few advertisers over there. Some of them are testing like payday loans or credits, but it's not as diverse as with the tier one geos. So the easiest way is just to go with a network that focuses on finance or kind of lead gen offers, and then ask for the top geos. Usually, you get a really good idea quickly of what's working. And there are some countries where you just don't see them. Like, for example, I haven't seen any offer about that in Africa, I guess. Yeah, so depends a lot.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, Eric, but I've seen a lot of crypto offers being promoted in South Africa, actually.
Well, crypto, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but what about Eric? What about you? I mean, I'm going to ask you the same exact question. What kind of offers are you running currently, and where are you running them? Which countries are you targeting most right now?
Yes, sure. So my main focus is mostly sweepstakes, and also as Servando said, it depends from the offer. But for sweeps, I had good results in Europe countries, they're like tier 2 basically.
Okay.
But also Asian countries, like Southeast Asia is good for this kind of offers.
And are you running sweepstakes on SOI or CC Submit?
Yes. This exactly depends from the country. Like in Europe, you have they work well with the credit card submits.
Yeah, for sure.
But in Asia, it's mostly SOI because it's just collection. So
that's very interesting. Is there any other offer out of vertical that you're running right now apart from sweepstakes?
Not really. Like they are my main focus from last year. I really focused, doubled down on sweeps, and I come up with my own landing pages and like totally custom coded everything and run maybe 20-30 geos. So I can basically start there everything very fast, and if there is something new, I always try it.
Now that you mentioned about landing pages, I mean, I know for a fact that you have, you're creating your own, pre-landers and all that. I'm going to ask you a very interesting question later on, but first of all, I wanted to ask like a follow-up question from, the offers that you're running. Which ad formats are you seeing the most performance in? Servando, what kind of ad formats are you currently running your campaigns in?
Well, we are running mostly right now push traffic, pop traffic, and we are also running on Facebook. So those are our three main media buys that we do. For the affiliate offers, we mostly run push traffic, but sometimes we do pops as well because they kind of work. When we find something that works in one of those two, it usually tends to work in the other one. So we use it to scale. Like usually, not all the time, but yeah, it's a good way to scale up. We also tested a lot of the new in-page push, which was launched like a few months ago, and many networks still don't have it. So it's a new source. At the beginning, of course, there was not much volume, but it's been growing, and the prices have been stabilizing, and the performance is still good. So we use those pretty much those three type of ad formats, and sometimes we do interstitials. But it's not as common.
Interstitials.
Yeah.
Not as common, but when it comes to, here at PropellerAds, I mean, as you said, when it comes to in-page push, that was launched a few months ago, and as you, clearly mentioned, volumes are stabilizing and increasing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Eric, what do you think of interstitials? Have you tested interstitials with your campaigns?
Not really. I also focus mainly on push traffic, a little bit of pop, and testing this in-page push. That is working pretty well in some geos, but not everywhere. You have to test it a lot.
Okay, so maybe this is the time to launch some interstitial campaigns.
Yes, probably something I have to note.
I kind of feel like interstitial has been always that traffic source that everybody knows it exists, but sometimes they test it and sometimes they don't. It's just I don't know. Many networks have interstitials, but it's not their main format. The highest volume format. So many people focus on the highest volume, and then interstitial is kind of there and working really well, but you don't know because you didn't test it. Yeah.
I agree with you completely. I agree 100% on that. However, with PropellerAds, as you know, you guys, we have Pop under as our cornerstone ad format. We've been, a pop, known as a pop network for so many years, and now we move to push, right? Right in the midst of, I would say, the flourishing, the blooming of this ad format, and then we move to IPP, which is in-page push. Interstitial is an ad format that, as you said, not many sources are focused into. But with Propeller, we see stable, this ad format, we're going to be focusing more and more into it and try to update a lot of the stuff in the back end with it. So make sure to test that with offers such as, sweepstakes are performing, a lot of performance there, and some other verticals like, I would say on streaming, that's also very interesting. So yeah, Eric, I think it's time to test that interstitial format,
Going right after this podcast.
Let's launch a campaign.
Okay, all right. So let's talk a little bit about juicy stuff now. What kind of targeting options, what kind of targeting aspects do you guys, utilize with your campaigns? Are you targeting based on geo, based on user activity? Give us, the gossip. Eric, what do you do mostly with your campaigns?
All right, so yes, of course, the geo depends from the offer, like what countries are allowed, and then you go deeper, like with regarding the user activity. I usually start with the high activity, like those are the freshest users that are responding the best, and if it's work out, then I slowly test the other activities like the medium and the low. Besides that, I usually target the device type, so whether mobile or desktop. And also lately I've targeted the browser, but it really doesn't depend on push. But sometimes there is a mix of browsers that not really work well. So, but mainly it's like Google Chrome anyway. So.
Okay.
And what else?
What else? What else is there?
Then,
what kind of, yeah.
What bidding? There is the bidding. Like the bidding, I usually start maybe with the recommended bid, and raise it if I need more traffic to scale. And also, I recommend to start if the campaign is working, try out the other formats. Like you have the IPP, the interstitial that I'm going to try,
Right.
and also like the pops. Yes, pops are working great with the CPA goal on Propeller, for example. I have some good results there, so that's something else
for
to try.
Sure. Servando, talking about targeting options and all that, tell us a few things that you do, and what do you think? As a follow-up question, first of all, what do you think about time targeting? What about time scheduling? Rather, campaigns. Do you launch yours in the weekends?
Yeah. So for time targeting, it depends. With pop traffic, we pretty much leave it just the whole week and every hour. We don't really care. We try to gather as much data as we can before we can decide if maybe a day or some time zone is not working. With push traffic, we try to be a little bit more careful because there's good volume, and then you receive some clicks very fast, and you also receive clicks even after pausing the campaign. You can still receive some clicks there, here and there. So what we usually do with push traffic is that we start our campaigns at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. just to be sure that people are not clicking during the night, or the notifications just go during the night, and then when they wake up, they have 100 notifications and probably get lost there. So this is basically what we do in terms of time targeting. We normally don't take out any days of the week unless we have one month of data. So at least 1 month of data. I don't like over-optimizing with just 1 week of data, and then it's like, oh no, okay, Sunday was not profitable, so let's block it, because you lose a lot of potential there. So it's I actually prefer blocking the websites that are not working, and perhaps depending on the campaign, we can do some optimization on the browsers or operating system. And as Eric said, I mean, for push, there's not much that you can do in those terms, because it's mostly Android traffic from Chrome browser. But when you are doing pops, you can do a lot of filtering right there to take out all the browsers that are not working, or some weird devices that are kind of old, and I don't know why you're seeing some traffic there. I mean, you can do much more than that, but the main factor that we optimize is definitely the websites or the zones in
The zone
Propeller,
IDs,
yeah,
right?
the zone
Per
IDs,
zone.
yeah. That's
correct.
definitely the best one. And for push, you can do some more stuff like Eric said, like the engagement level, or check if. I mean, we always try to separate between GEOs, of course, and between devices. We never mix desktop with mobile devices or tablets. And
That's right.
if we're testing, let's say push traffic, we separate in-page push from the classic push notifications. We pretty much separate everything that we want so that we can kind of find a target and scale and optimize mostly the campaign without having a lot of data in the same campaign.
So in general, you guys both agree that when you narrow down or break down a campaign based on user activity, high, medium, low, or based on mobile or desktop devices, that affiliates should separate everything, so separate targeting each of these slices or each of these channels, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Because the bits are different, so it's easier to optimize that way.
That's amazing. I think a lot of affiliates, and I mean, hopefully new affiliates, should definitely follow through what you just mentioned and your suggestions about that. It's very important in terms of cost efficiency and all that, right?
Yeah, right.
Eric, I wanted to ask you about viewability. Is it something that you've used with your campaigns, viewability pixel?
Not really.
Okay.
Never tried it.
Right. I mean, a lot of people ask me about this because we just basically posted a blog about it, an article. So with Viewability Pixel, it's something that is very crucial when it comes to advertisers who don't necessarily have some kind of tracking solution, right? So with the Viewability Pixel, you basically when you don't have access to conversion data, you still need to optimize the campaign's performance. And by adding this kind of pixel, you get two parameters so far. We have engaged visits, which is basically the number of users who came to the landing page. And I'm going to ask you, Eric, about that later on, about what you do with your pre-landers, and spent landing pages and spend more than 2 seconds basically on on the page. So this is something very crucial when it comes to advertisers. And I think also with you guys, maybe it's also something that you can use as well with your campaigns to check out exactly which users are more engaged with your pre-lander or the offer that you're promoting. Is that something you're open to testing out, guys?
I maybe have a question, like, are we able to later optimize based on this data, or is just for like information?
Absolutely. I mean, I guess when you have a tracking data, when you have a tracking solution, you have all of the all of this data, right? In terms of geos, browsers, and all that. But with the viewability pixel, I think it matters most when it comes to, as I said, with users and also you guys to have additional data when it comes to, like, for example, how many users have engaged with your pre-lander. And from then on, perhaps retarget them at some point, or do some other optimizations in the back end for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm gonna be honest.
It's a new It's a new feature, so I haven't really heard about it. Will have to check it out. How about you, Servando?
We have posted a blog about it, and we're going to talk more about it, perhaps further on, because we're also in the phase of basically integrating it and making it something that everyone is aware of. And it's actually active on our platform, so you better check it out later on. And if you have any suggestions, feel free. I mean, we're very open to hearing a lot about especially you guys, and tools and features that are essential to you guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
all
definitely.
Right.
We haven't tested that. I did read the blog post about that, but haven't really had time to test it. And pretty much the only platform where we use pixels or retargeting is social networks, so like Facebook or other traffic sources. So this is something new for me in the terms
Absolutely.
of pops or push.
Absolutely. So, a question for Eric, actually. I mean, you mentioned previously about you having your own pre-landers. Is there anything that you can share with us that, fellow affiliates can also take advantage of? Are you doing some kind of extra monetization scheme with your own pre-landers?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that I'm doing, and it's working pretty well, is like basically collecting push subscribers. For example, you have a network called ProPush that's working very well. So basically what you do, you just paste a small code JavaScript snippet to your landing page, and then to everyone who visits your page, who lands on your landing page, there will be the prompt for subscribing to notifications. So, and the nice thing about this is that it works almost like on rev share. So basically you can have long-term, like kind of passive income. Like you always have to feed it with more traffic to keep it growing, but it's working like pretty well. It's like extra money. Sometimes even if your campaigns like are losing, let's say, but you can make it up with this monetization.
That's very interesting. So you're basically doing this via propush.me. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
That's amazing. I mean, if you guys, the audience hearing us right now, have access to your pre-landers, and you're the ones basically, building them up from the ground up. This is also another source, of income, I would say, and it's very interesting because you have full control of your pre-landers. So why not make money off of them, right?
Definitely.
Servando, is that also something that you're doing? Is that something that you're also utilizing as well?
Yeah, definitely. Especially for pop traffic, since you receive a lot of traffic from different devices, it's a good idea to build your own. I mean, not your own. We kind of we are building from somebody else and then just getting revenue share, or you can get paid on CPA per each subscriber. Both work well. I guess it depends mostly on just testing your traffic and see what works better for you. But in most of our campaigns, we do collect push subscribers, and sometimes in push traffic as well, if possible. It's not possible all the times, but we tend to split test the landing page to see how much it affects our conversion rate and CTRs between having the script or not having it. But yeah, for at least for pop traffic, we pretty much do it every time.
That's very interesting. Lastly, I have actually two questions for you guys. The first question is from Mark Ace 12. Is that correct? Mark Ace. Yeah, I think that's it. Where do you get your offers from, guys?
Me, Eric?
Okay, I can start.
Eric.
Okay. So I mostly use like traditional affiliate networks. The main I work a lot with is like Gotcha. They are pretty big in sweepstakes. Also, recently they joined with another network that has dating, so they now have also dating offers. And also I work for sweepstakes, I work with some direct advertisers, for example, Ad Center. They have a lot of like credit card sweepstakes. And also ClickDealer, that's a big network. They got all kind of verticals.
We all know
everything,
ClickDealer,
I think,
right?
Basically.
And
I'm planning to check out for some time. I know Propeller also has the new network called Zado.
Yeah.
And it's on my list for some time. Just need to check it out.
The good thing about
yes, this yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was going to say that the good thing about Zadu is basically those offers that they have there are surefire offers that originated from Propeller. So it's a very interesting combination because all the offers there were direct, and I think affiliates should definitely check them out as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So I have second question. I think Servando should answer this one. But Servando, what do you think about utilizing or using creatives that are COVID related?
I mean, some networks don't really allow you to do that. So I guess it depends on how aggressive you are in your marketing. If you are like the classic creatives that promote, let's say, masks that kind of guarantee things that you can't really do, those aren't really ethical and it's probably not good. But we have tried doing some different creatives that kind of target the whole situation that's happening right now in the world without mentioning the virus in itself, and they tend to work well. So it's like, for example, if you're running finance, I mean, people are tight on cash, or sometimes they are losing jobs, so that you can kind of target the creatives to that audience without really mentioning, like, hey, it's coronavirus time, so you need this. So pretty much that's the whole idea. I mean, if you understand the trend and what's happening in each country right now, you can try to target without doing without breaking the rules and being so aggressive.
That's very interesting. Eric, what do you think? Are you using such creatives for your campaigns?
Not really. I try to stay away from this. I think it's better. In the very beginning, I tried it. I have to confess, I tried it for like 2 days, but I didn't feel well about it, so I rather stopped. And then actually there was like a news, I think like some week later, like they stopped one of the advertisers who was selling these masks or something like that. So I think it's better to stay away from these angles.
Stay away from
Maybe do it same like Servando, say like from a different view, different angle.
Perhaps, yeah. Stay away from COVID. Stay away from any such creative, I would say, and focus into what the summer can offer you guys. All affiliates. As we said, the offers to focus to right now are finance, sweepstakes, home appliances, gardening. We also see life insurance and health insurance, obviously. iGaming and all that. So make sure to listen to this podcast and check out and extract all of the information that Eric and Servando have provided us. And guys, thank you so much for being with us. This is our second episode, and I hope that you had a good time.
Yeah, we did.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
I always try to tell my guys in the back team, marketing, who's done an amazing job when it comes to setting up everything for us. We always aim for like a 25 to 30 minute kind of session, but I mean, come on, we're talking. It's all lighthearted, and I think we have a good time. All right, thank you so much, guys, and. As I said, this is the second episode of Propeller On Air. Make sure to tune in for more. And again, I would like to thank Eric, Gyepes, and Fernando Servando for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye, guys. And we're out.
Okay.